I recently read a story on LNM that brought back old memories of my dad's crazy ex-girlfriend. This took place when I was around 8 to 9 years old, so I guess it would have been the year 1997. My parents had gotten divorced several years prior, so me and my little sister, 2 years younger, used to stay with our dad every other weekend. One day, he introduced us to his new girlfriend, Rachel, who was a tall blonde woman that had apparently won some kind of beauty pageant or something. I remember those first months of getting to know Rachel as fun. She seemed like a nice lady. I also think my initial impression of her was helped by the fact that she had a rather cuddly grey parrot and a pet raven that could talk, which of course made my younger self quite ecstatic. But after a while, things started to change. I began to notice she could be a bit odd at times, saying weird things or acting a bit strangely. We started seeing her less frequently when staying with our dad. Then one day he told us they'd broken up and that we wouldn't be seeing her anymore. He also told us we shouldn't talk to her or go home with her if she showed up at school. Not long after that, Rachel really started harassing my dad. She would randomly turn up at places we went to visit during weekends, trying to talk with us. She called him non-stop on the phone when we were at home, crying, making threats. It usually didn't stop until he pulled the plug. Years later, I found out she had even threatened to kill me and my sister on several occasions, and that Dad got a restraining order. Rachel also keyed my dad's car, broke into his company to trash it, and stole a lot of money that he never got back. She even started writing threatening letters to my mum. My parents have always been good friends ever since the divorce, and it all culminated with a letter from the authorities. A letter accusing my dad of being a child molester. I still vividly remember how Mum sat us down in our room, holding the letter, a deep look of concern on her face, asking if Dad had ever touched us inappropriately. Which of course, he never has. It later turned out it was Rachel who had falsely accused him of such, in an attempt to prevent him from seeing us. I remember feeling really angry and upset that she had gone to such lengths. The last memory I have of Rachel was a few weeks before Christmas. We were staying at my dad's place over the weekend. It was a 2-story apartment complex, with a large window spanning an entire wall, floor to ceiling, in the living room where we had just sat down to watch TV. Next to the window, there was a glass door leading onto a stone patio, bordering a lawn that ended with a tall hedge. And on this particular day, the outdoor lights had been switched off, which means it was pitch black outside as the intro to Superman started playing. A while into the episode, I suddenly heard a strange, sharp noise coming from the window. It sounded like something was clawing on the glass in an attempt to get in. The sofa I was sitting on was placed right in front of the window, so I had my back toward it when I slowly turned around to look over my shoulder. Heart thumping in my chest, hairs standing on end as if I was being watched. But all that came into view was a pitch-black darkness lurking behind my own reflection. By this point, Dad had also heard the sound and gotten up to turn on the patio lights. When the outside suddenly flooded with light, I found myself staring into the face of a smiling blonde woman peering into our living room. Need I tell you that I screamed? Both me and my sister flew up from the couch like it had been scorched with fire and ran behind our dad. When I looked toward the window again, I saw Rachel with both of her hands up against the glass, tightly cupped beside her face, as she was trying to look inside. The patio door was right next to her. I tugged on Dad's shirt and whispered if the door was locked when she reached toward the handle. That millisecond of doubt flashing across my dad's face still haunts me to this day. Rachel truly looked like a mad woman, as she furiously jerked on the handle in an attempt to get in, briefly pausing to peer through the glass now and again. I remember thinking Dad looked oddly calm as he ushered us around a corner wall, telling us to stay out of sight, as he walked toward the patio door. We begged him not to go outside, thinking she could have a knife hidden somewhere. So he opened up a small crack with the door, firmly holding onto the handle, and asked what the hell she was doing in his backyard. She tried to get him to let her in, putting on a big smile, tossing her hair. But Dad obviously wouldn't budge, telling her to leave or he would call the cops, to which she eventually conceded, leaving a bunch of Christmas presents behind. When Rachel was out of sight from the window, Dad went out to make sure she was gone, picking up what she had left behind on his way back. None of us wanted anything to do with the presents. Something just felt really off about them, so they ended up still fully wrapped in the trash. Credits, none available.